Why does Lex Luthor hate Superman? I mean, seriously, hate him. You'd think with all the evil alien invaders, criminals, and threats out there, Lex would be glad to have Superman on Earth. But no, his obsession with taking Superman down is one of the most iconic rivalries in all of comics. And it's not just one reason either. Over the years, depending on the comic, the movie, or the TV show, the reasons for Lex's hatred have shifted. But they almost always tie back to the same core ideas: power, pride, and control. And now with the new Superman movie out, we're seeing a fresh version of Lex, one that keeps those old themes but adds a modern twist. Let's start with the basics. Lex Luthor is a genius, maybe the smartest man in the DC universe. He's rich, powerful, and completely self-made. And then here comes Superman, an alien with godlike powers who didn't earn them but was just born with them. That drives Lex crazy. He sees Superman as an unnatural cheat code. It's like Lex worked his whole life to climb the mountain, only to see Superman fly to the top in 2 seconds. So a lot of his hatred comes from jealousy, sure, but also the belief that Superman's presence actually holds humanity back. Lex believes humans should be solving their own problems, not relying on an alien to save them. In Lex's mind, Superman is dangerous, not because of what he does, but because of what he represents. In some older comics, like the Silver Age stories from the 1950s and 60s, Lex's hatred had kind of a petty origin. In those versions, Lex and Clark Kent knew each other as teenagers in Smallville. Lex was doing some science experiment. Superman tried to save him, but ended up accidentally causing an explosion that made Lex go bald, and from that point on, Lex hated him. He lost his hair and swore revenge. That version's more cartoonish, but it stuck for a while. Later stories made Lex's motivation a lot deeper and more serious. In the late 1980s, DC rebooted their universe and reintroduced Lex as something more grounded: a corrupt billionaire businessman. Think more along the lines of a ruthless CEO than a mad scientist. In this version, Lex isn't just jealous, he's a total control freak. He wants to run Metropolis. He wants to shape the world to his image. Superman's existence threatens all that, not just because he's powerful, but because he's better. He's more admired, more trusted, and more noble. Lex hates that. He believes Superman is an alien who doesn't belong on Earth, and yet everyone worships him. It's like Lex wants to be God, and Superman is the only thing standing in the way. Other versions added more nuance to Lex. In Superman Birthright, a modern origin story from the early 2000s, Lex and Clark were friends as young men. But Lex became obsessed with alien life, especially Krypton, and he started to unravel mentally. He felt betrayed when Clark rejected his theories, and that led to a mix of paranoia, isolation, and obsession. The show Smallville ran with this too, showing Lex and Clark starting out as friends, but over time Lex's fear of betrayal, combined with his need for power and validation, pushed him into darkness. These versions make Lex more tragic, still dangerous, but also a little bit broken. In the modern era, Lex's hatred often takes on a more ideological angle. He doesn't just hate Superman personally, he hates the idea of Superman. He sees him as a symbol of everything that's wrong with society's mindset. People look up to Superman instead of themselves. Lex thinks humanity should rise on its own, without alien help. In his stories like Rebirth or Doomsday Clock, Lex even tries to become Superman himself, literally wearing the S and claiming he can do the job better. Deep down, Lex thinks he's the real hero, the one humanity needs, and the fact that nobody else sees that, that's what drives him off the edge. Now let's talk about the new Superman movie from James Gunn. Now before we get into this next part, spoiler warning. In the film, Lex actually steals a Kryptonian message that was meant for Superman, a message that mentioned the possibility of conquering Earth. Lex uses that message and broadcasts it to the public, trying to make everyone afraid of Superman. He turns public opinion against him, using propaganda and manipulation. He basically weaponizes fear, painting Superman as a threat rather than a hero. This Lex doesn't just hate Superman because he's powerful, he hates him because he can't control him. Superman doesn't answer to anyone, and for a guy like Lex, that's terrifying. If you zoom out and look at every version of Lex, you'll see three big themes driving his hatred: ego, fear, and control. Lex needs to be the smartest person in the room. He needs to be the one in charge. Superman challenges that by simply existing. He's not corrupt. He's not for sale. He doesn't need Lex's help. And worst of all, people love him. That eats Lex alive. In a way, Lex's hatred for Superman isn't really about Superman at all. It's about Lex's fear that he'll never be enough. That someone else, someone stronger, more noble, more selfless, is always going to outshine him. And that's a truth Lex Luthor can't accept. So yeah, Lex Luthor's hatred for Superman has taken many forms over the years, some silly, some serious, some deeply tragic. But in every version, it taps into something human: the fear of being replaced, the need to feel in control, and the anger we feel when someone challenges our place in the world. Superman, for all his power, doesn't try to rule the world, but for Lex Luthor, that might be the most infuriating part of all, because if someone that powerful chooses not to rule, it makes Lex look weak by comparison, and that's a truth his ego will never let him live with.